Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Abu Joseph. In this video, I'll be sharing with newbies graphic designers who basically use Photoshop to create design or intends to create design with Photoshop, how to create something like this in Photoshop. Please take note, this is a disclaimer. I'm not the original creator of this design, so I'm just using this as a case study to walk through newbies how to achieve simple art design like this for Jobberman or MasterCard or whosoever brands that actually reach out to them basically. So I'll be walking you through the whole process of sourcing out your resources and the whole process involved. Okay, please, if you're coming across the channel for the very first time, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, turn on the post notification bell to get notification whenever I upload new content. And for my returning subscribers, thank you guys for always supporting me. Thank you for the love, thank you for the support. As usual, let's dive into this. So if you look at this, you will notice that we have a texture of a grid over here. Okay, this one of the resources we will be looking for on the internet. The grid texture. We would like to look for an illustration of someone with what expression of joy, with what cash in his or her hands, to be precise. Okay, and what else? We'll have to get a resource of what the Zoom meeting icon here, and this this date and time icon, to be precise. These are the resources we should be getting from the internet basically. Okay, so the first thing I would like to do here is to go to my browser. Okay, I've already opened my browser over here, and I would like to visit a website called pinterest.com. This is a website I basically use whenever I'm searching for images that can actually help me. So here I'll make use of the search panel after you are done creating your account if you don't have an account with them. So here I'll head over to do what, typing in the keywords of what I'm looking for. Now I'm trying to search for a lady holding money, that is a happy lady with what, cash, and these are like the search results that basically comes out. Okay, these are the various search results. So you have to select illustration that actually helps to do what, to communicate your message. So for this tutorial, I'll be using this particular image. Click on it, click on these three dots and click on what, download, and it will be downloaded straight up into your PC. Okay, that is in terms of that. The next thing, I'll head over to Google and search for another keyword called grade line. Okay, and here are the resources or the search results. So I'll head over to the image category, and here we have different resources. Okay, I can head over to expand my search by putting PNG. I would like to get a transparent one. Maybe the likes of this basically works, or I can get it, or move further and look for other ones that basically helps or is actually good enough to depict the message. So when you get them, you just open them up. Okay, just click one, open them up, allow it to process here. So if it's not for processing, you can right click and click on what, save image as. Okay, so when you click on save image as, make sure you have a PNG file format or JPEG, it all depends, but most advisable the PNG works. Then you can click on what, save. You'll have this what, save directly into your PC. So I can click on save right ahead. So that is in terms of this. Okay, so next thing we have to search for has to do with I think the date and time, PNG. Okay, you can see these are like search results. So I can just basically select any one, allow it to load over here, then right click and do what, click on save image. Okay, and you can choose to give it a name, date and time. Okay, click on what, save. Okay, we are good to go. These are what, all PNG images. They are transparent images with what, without background. That is the sole aim why I'm actually downloading this type of images. So what else do we need to download? What else? I think we're almost done. Okay, which is the Zoom image. So I'll come here and type in Zoom. That is where the meeting will be taking place. Okay, this is the resource over here. Okay, just right click and save it, and it will be saved into my PC. It's also a PNG image, and we are good to go. We all have our resources available. Now let me head back to Photoshop. Now please take note, the main purpose of this design is to do what? Is to communicate this message. Money na water for freelancer we sabi. So the idea here is that freelancers that are good enough should be able to do what? To generate money, to be able to do what? To generate funds. Okay, that is the essence of what this illustration of this lady with what? Cash on her hand, smiling. So that is the essence of that. So while picking illustration, your illustration should what? Should be in line with the message, which is what? This headline message here. To be precise, it should have a connection, it should have a connection with the headline message. Please take note of that. And this is a meeting that intends to be carried out on what? Zoom platform. Please take note of that. So now let's move into the design phase. The next thing I would like to do here is to create a new project. So I can head over to home here. Okay, click on new file, and over here we'll be creating a project that will be used across social media platform, because that is a social media ad design. Please take note of that. So we'll have to select setting our unit in pixels 1080 by 1350. Going forward, you can choose to give your project a name over here. You can set your resolution to 300 depending on the specification of your PC. Take note of that. Okay, but if your PC is not of high res, do it to scale it to around 72 or 100 resolution basically works. Then your color mode can be set on RGB, because the design we intend to create will be used across socials. Take note of that. Okay, so leave other settings the way they are, click on the create. So we have our canvas on which we will be designing on. The first thing I would like to do here is to come over here. You can see we have two tabs here. I'll come over to where I have this and drag this into this canvas where we'll be working on. Okay, so that is in terms of this. Okay, so I would like the illustration to be available here. The next thing I would like us to do is to then bring in the resources. For my newbies, some of them were like, I always skip that part of showing them how to bring in the resources. There are two ways to basically bring in resources in your design. Is either you're going through the file, clicking on place embed, but this is a long process if I'm to do this. Okay, this is a long process. It allows me to pick one resource at a time, but why not go about your business this way? Now I hit the window E button on my keyboard to enable my window explorer. Head over to my download part where I have all those resources I've downloaded. So I'll just select them individually and bring them in. Okay, likewise the brand logo, that is the MasterCard and the Jobberman, those are the two brands sponsoring this. These are their logo mark. So you can just basically drag them into what? Your workspace, and you hit the check button. Okay, so hit the check button to make sure that this is added to our our layer panel. That is in terms of that. Then I have to also look at the subject layer. Okay, the image we'll be using. I downloaded this lady image, but let me open it so that I have a good preview of this image. Now over here you notice that this image is a low quality image. You can see that as I'm zooming in, you can see that it is actually what? Blur in nature. So how do I go about downloading image from the internet and upscaling it? I'll be sharing with you a website that I basically use to do that. So head over to creating a new tab and head over to I love img.com is a website, and this website basically provides you with lots of extension in terms of what it can do. It can basically upscale images, remove background, resize images, among others. These are like the various things this website is capable of. So as a creative or as a designer, you can actually try to explore these tools and see how they work. So I want to upscale the image. I click on upscale image, come over here to select the image, look for the image of my file paths. Okay, depending on where the image is, double click on it and wait for it to basically load up. So here you can see the image. This is a preview of the original size, and this is like the preview of the 2 times the upscale. Okay, so you can see like a before and after of this image, or I can choose to upscale it to like 4 times the actual quality. Okay, now you can see the 4 times of this. You can see the original dimension. This is the 4 times dimension of this, And please take note, while uploading images, it shouldn't be more than this particular size in terms of this. Okay, so afterwards you are done with upscaling, you can go ahead to click on upscale. If you are satisfied with the quality, allow this to process, click on what, download, and this will be what, downloaded into your PC. Now the next thing has to do with removing the background. Is either I'm using Photoshop to remove the background, or I can still use this platform to do what, remove the background. I'll head over to this dashboard back. I'll click on the logo mark and head over back to remove background. Upload the image we just upscaled, which is this. Double click on it and wait for it to do its thing. Okay, now you can see it's done cropping, but this doesn't give us the perfect kind of crop we are actually looking for. Okay, but this is actually nice. You can still use Photoshop to make amendments if the background of color we want to use will be contradicting to what we have around the subject head here. You can make changes to that in Photoshop. So we can go ahead to click on remove backgrounds and wait for it to load. Then we'll click on what, to download it. So download the image into our PC, and it's already downloaded. So that is in terms of this, ladies and gentlemen. So moving on, the next thing I would like to do here is to head over back to the Photoshop application. Okay, let's start cooking. So head over to Photoshop and turn off every other layer. Then the first thing we have to do here is to start with creating of the background. Okay, please take note of that. We intend to start creating the background. So the main essence of me keeping this here is to do what, to pick my color. So I can come over here, select the background layer, head over to this, click on solid color, and do what, sample the color using the color picker here. Okay, you can just pick your color, click OK. That is in terms of that. If you are done, you can turn off this other layer. Okay, that is in terms of that. The next thing I would like you to note is that when you zoom into this image, you notice something. This has some white dotted textures on the surface of your canvas. How do you achieve this? Okay, so one of the ways you can achieve this is by hitting Ctrl+Shift+N on the keyboard. Ctrl+Shift+N enables you to create a new layer. You can then choose to give the layer a name. I can call this noise. Okay, change the blending to this to soft light, enable the 50% gray option, and click on OK. That's the first step. Right click to convert the layer to a smart object basically enables you to maintain image quality while working on that particular layer at any point in time, and creates room for subsequent modification of that layer at any point in time. Okay, so I'm done converting to a smart object. Heading over to filter, noise, and add noise. Ctrl+Z, filter, noise, add noise. So you can set this on uniform, monochromatic. I think this noise texture is good enough, around 13.46. okay, percent works. I'll click on OK. That is in terms of this. You can see the noise texture. So the next thing is to enable the grid image and bring it over here. Okay, so we have to make sure that everything is well organized. Here we have this. The next thing we have to do is to fade this out of focus by reducing the opacity of that layer. Make sure the layer is selected. Okay, make sure you clicked on the layer first before reducing the opacity. Okay, this is actually okay. Around this is okay. Okay, that is in terms of this. So moving on, I can select this layer by clicking on this, holding Shift, click on this, hit Ctrl+G to group, and I can choose to rename this to BG, which basically stands for the background. That is in terms of this first thing. So the next thing we have to do is to place in the logo mark of the various brands. Okay, want to start placing in resources. So first thing first, I would like to convert this to a rasterized layer. Currently you can see that as I move my mouse over here, you can see that it has the name Smart Object Thumbnail. So I want to rasterize it by right clicking on the layer and click on rasterize layer. You notice that that doesn't appear. You have it as normal layer thumbnail. So I pick my eraser tool here. So this is my eraser tool. Please take note of that. You can right click and select magic eraser tool. This is basically color sensitive. So I'll click on any places where I have my blacks. I'll remove the blacks. Okay, so I'm done removing that. Right click and convert it to what, a smart object, so that I can maintain quality of it whenever I scale it up or scale it down. Take note of that. So the same thing is applicable to the Jobberman's logo. I can also select the Jobberman's logo, right click and rasterize it as well. Then I'm still with that particular tool, take out the white over here. Okay, I'm trying to take out all these controls plus to zoom into various parts of this. Control plus basically enables you to zoom into different parts of your design. Okay, I think this is for this. I think we are good. So after you are done, right click and convert to a smart object again. So next thing we have to do is to select both layers, holding shift and do what? Scale, then Control T to transform and scale it down. Okay, Control T basically enables you to transform a layer. Okay, come back here, select only the Jobberman's layer, pick your move tool, Control T. You can then left click and drag and position this around here. Okay, now you notice that while looking at this, the Jobberman cannot be seen as a result of what? The black. Okay, so in order for you to create contrast, you have to change the color by double clicking on the layer of the Jobberman and heading over to the layer style where you have color overlay. Here I would like to change the fill color to white, set this blending on normal 100% opacity and click on OK. So I can choose to increase this a little bit and this will be seen. Okay, please take note of that. Pick your text tool and I would like to place the name of the brand beneath it. Okay, I'll type in the word MasterCard, hit the enter key, then type in the word foundation. Okay, so after we are done with that, over here I can make sure the layer of the text is still selected. Head over to here, change this to white. Okay, for contrast purpose. Okay, that is one of the ways you can make sure that your information can be seen. Okay, so afterwards you can make, I'm actually making use of a font called of a typeface called Gotham, and under the style I'm making use of the book category. So I can come over here, scale this down, scale it down properly, pick my move tool. The move tool basically enables me to move layers from one point to the other. Use Control T, scale it up a little, and we are good to go. I can place this here. So I can still make a duplicate of this by holding Alt, left click and drag. Okay, over it, hold Alt, left click and drag. Pick the text tool and you can choose to call these in partnership with. Okay, so I'll have to drag and position this way. I want to make sure that this is well. So Control T, scale it down. I need it to be small in size, so I can then position it that way. That's okay. Okay, so we're trying to make the logo stand this way, just like the way we have this. So let me enable the original design. So you can see we have this and this over here. So that's what I'm trying to achieve while doing this. So the next thing has to do with bringing in our subject image. But before doing that, I would like to group these 4 layers, that is the 2 icons and the 2 text layer. So I'll select these, hold shift, select these, hit Ctrl G to group them. Okay, and I'll call them let me say brand logo. Okay, that's the brand. So the next thing I would like to bring in the subject image. Okay, so let me see, where is the okay, this was the one we used, that I love images to remove. Click on check. Okay, right click and convert it to a smart object as well to maintain image quality. Ctrl T, you can then choose to scale this image and position it like this. Okay, that is in terms of that, but I would like to add more depth to this image because it's looking so flat. How do I go about this? Okay, make sure the image layer is selected, head over to filter, apply the camera raw filter. So over here on the camera raw filter, I would like us to enable the before and the after. Before and after. So while working with this, most at times, if the lighting is okay for me, I just start with my basics. Okay, head over to what? Textures. Now please take note that this what they call it, the basics are segmented into 3 areas or 4 areas. Here basically are called the light parts, where we work on the lightings on the image. Here we basically work on the feel and textures of the image. Here we work on colors, to be precise. So here I just need to boost up the texture on this subject image, increase the clarity a little bit on this. I can choose to, if I need to, I can play with the colors. I don't need to play with the colors so far. I can head over to hues and saturation, head over to details rather, increase the sharpening and reduce noise reduction a little bit. So you can see before and after of this image. Click on OK. We have our image looking like this, looking nice and very sweet to the eyes. So that is in terms of that. The next thing has to do with placing of information of this particular design. So I have to speed up that particular process and explain to you how to go about that. Okay, here I've brought in the whole text, and some of you might be wondering what is actually going on here. Okay, let me explain some things for you. Before I do that, let me start with this lady's image. Let me scale this a little bit down, okay, so that it can't be dragging attention with this. Okay, I'm trying to see what possible way we can achieve balance. Okay, so let me leave this way. Now, first thing first, here I want you to understand that I basically pick a text tool and type in, just click anywhere on your workspace and type in whatever you want to type in. Let me increase the size of this. Okay, so I just type in money blah 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 over here. Okay, while typing, I make sure that I was case sensitive in terms of when to use my caps lock and when not to use my caps lock. Okay, so when I started, I basically have to turn on my caps lock to type the first M over here, which is the M for the money. Turn off the caps lock and type in the remaining text, because Photoshop does not allow you to move from uppercase to lowercase. It only has lower to uppercase. Please take note of that. There's nothing like uppercase to lowercase in Photoshop. You only work as lower to higher case, that is uppercase. That's how Photoshop actually works. So I have to be very sensitive in terms of that. So if after I'm done typing the whole text, I can do what? Check. After done typing, you can then change the fill color of what? Your text. That is what I did here. Please take note of that. So let me delete this layer. Now, after I'm done typing this first line of text at this particular site, I hit the enter key, then start with what? For freelance. So I have to turn on my caps lock to type the first F here, which is in capital letter, and do what? Complete the whole line of what? Text for freelancer. So after I'm done with that, now we'll have to create what? Contrast in terms of this. I have to select this. Okay, now I'm making use of the font called what? Gotham. Now take note, this is the typeface called Gotham, but over here we have a different style of it in terms of weight. So I can choose to say, okay, Gotham medium. You see that the text is now bolded. Then note that this was italicized, that is, the text is looking slanty. So I can click on what? Medium italic, and the text will look what? Slanty. I can then do what? Change the color to this, and we are good to go. So that is in terms of that. So if you are done typing the whole text, after you are done typing the whole text, after you're done typing the first text on the first line, hit enter. Type the next text, hit enter. Then you do what? You use this character panel, this property panel here, to just basically create contrast in terms of information. So this first line, the category is on what? Light. Okay, while this other one, I just selected this and made it on what? Bold italics. This other one and this wasabi is currently on what? Extra light. So that's one of the ways you can basically create contrast on your what? Information. Please take note of that. Likewise, this similar technique was applied to this. So if you have a good understanding of what I explained here, you should be able to replicate that over here as well. So let me adjust this. Okay, so moving on as well, the next thing we have to do was to place in the date and time of the event. So I have to enable this. Okay, right click and rasterize. Pick your move tool and do what, take out what, this white, right click and what, convert to smart object. Afterwards, Ctrl T, then you can scale down and bring it down. I notice I didn't take out this, so I'll rasterize again. Okay, take out this, right click, convert to what, smart object. Okay, so that is the depth of that. So I can scale and position this around somewhere here like this. Okay, moving on, I can just double click on the layer style comes up once more, change the color to white, or maybe the value of blue, but a light value of blue like this basically works. Or I can select this value of blue. Okay, click on OK, if other settings, click on OK, and we are good to go. That is in terms of that. Next thing, I would like to enable this. Now this also has a background. How do I remove it? Select the layer where you have what, this, right click and what, rasterize. Take note of that. Still using the same eraser tool, delete this. Now you can see this is clean. Right click and do what, convert to smart object. Ctrl T, scale this down and do what, you can then choose to position it wherever you want to position it in your canvas. Make sure that this is visible to know that this is actually what, a meeting. Pick your move tool to position it where you want it to be. Okay, that is in terms of that. So moving on, I would like to create what, a rectangle. So this is the rectangle tool. The keyboard shortcut is U. So I pick a rectangle and create a rectangle of this dimension like this. Okay, and afterwards I would like to change the fill color. So I'll come over here where I have this rectangle on my layer panel, double click inside this square here and sample what, this value. So I can click on this OK here and make sure this layer is directly beneath what, the text layer. So I'll drag it beneath this text. You can see where the text is. Okay, and over here you can see, if I select the text, okay, over here you can see the color of what, the text. Okay, that is in terms of that. So please take note that while working with text, there are some certain things you have to take note of, but I have to still walk you through on that. Go back to your rectangle layer, and over here on your property panel, please, if you don't have your property panel, please pay attention carefully. If you don't have your property panel like I have mine over here, and enable it on your Windows. Okay, you can click on this. If you don't have your character panel, you can also click on your character panel. Please take note of that. I also have my character panel here. Either I'm using the one over here or I'm also using the one here. So I will explain the essence of this character panel in a little while. So now I'm done with this. The next thing I want to do is to pick my move to make a duplicate of what, this rectangle by hitting what, Ctrl J. Okay, Ctrl T to transform, left click, hold shift and take this up like this. Ctrl T, transform, hold shift, left click and drag this side, holding shift. Please take note of that. Okay, so that is in terms of that. Now I would like to add what, a rounded edge around these two. So I'll select the two rectangle, holding shift, go back to what, the property, and do what, add a rounded curve edge of 8 pixels respectively. Take note of that, or I can add more. It all depends on what I want. Please take note of that. So after I'm done with that, I'll select this, I hit Ctrl T on the keyboard, right click inside this particular rectangle, click on what, distort. Okay, now left click and drag this a little bit up, Ctrl plus to zoom in so that you see everything in real time. Okay, so I can just hold shift a little and take this up a little this way, and we are good. So Ctrl 0, Ctrl plus to fit to screen. So double click inside the square icon, change the fill color to this, and we are good to go. That's the hex code for the color. This is the hex code to the color I just used. Please take note of that. So this as well should be what, beneath what, the register vi. So I'll take this layer above the shape so that we can see it. Okay, so I can bring it down like this and we are good to go. So come back to this rectangle. I noticed that it doesn't have that curved round edge. Go back to the properties and do what, give it the curve it needs. Okay, that is in terms of that. Then moving on, now let's look at the essence of your character panel. Let me select this particular layer panel where I have this. So this is the headline text basically, and over here we have different property. This character panel only works on text. That is, if you're already on the text layer, the text layer must be selected before it works. So I'm already here. This, I want to explain some certain things. This basically allows you to increase the size of text. This first panel here, the font size. This basically enables you to balance the space between your text on the vertical axis. Can you see? This has to do with what? Closing up space on the vertical axis. This basically enables you to control space between the horizontal axis. Can you see? Please take note of that. That's the essence of this. Okay, so this basically enables you to capitalize text or the whole text. This enables you to turn them back to small letter. So this also enables you to add more bolding feel to the text. Please take note of all of this and how they basically works. Okay, so that is in terms of that. So I can still choose to select this model image, head over to my adjustment and apply a hue and saturation to this. Now click on the clip marks and come over here to this icon here. Okay, select this hand icon here, left click to sample the color on your clothing. Okay, I like to change the color on the shirt only, and don't forget, click on this clip mark so that the effect will be solely on the subject. So I can come over here. If I play with the hues, you see what happens. I can basically choose any color of my choice, play with the saturation level. It all depends on what I want, and play with what the lightness of the color. It all depends on what I want. So that is the essence of how to go about changing colors of objects in Photoshop as well, if you are new to Photoshop. Okay, so moving on, I can choose to scale this up more. Okay, I can choose to scale this more up like this. I think this is okay. Then on the final notes, I would like to then group my layers properly. Okay, so starting with this was this. Okay, this is the subject image. Okay, so I'll select the two layer holding shift, group them. Okay, and I would like to rename them and call this model. Okay, let me just call it model or happy lady. So for this and this, okay, I also want to group them together. That is for the date and time. So for the dates, I can bring them together side by side each other, group them. Okay, so this is one of the ways you can keep your layer panel as neat as possible. You can group them and call this date. Okay, for this is has to do with this set of information here. So I'll select this whole shift, select this as well, hit Ctrl G. Okay, and I can rename this. I'll call this a link. Okay, this works. And this is what? The zoom. I can just rename it zoom and we are good to go. So this is one of the ways you can keep your layer panel as neat and organized. So after that, I can make a duplicate of the zoom by hitting Ctrl J, left click and drag one and place it around here. Ctrl T to transform and rotate the angle. You can see the keyboard shortcut popping up on my screen. Select this, hit Ctrl J, Ctrl T as well, scale this up. I need this to be visible, but if you notice here, it is actually on top of the subject. So we have to take this beneath this model image layer. So when you have these two blue lines beneath the model layer, you can then release your mouse. So the next thing I want to do is to add a blur effect to it. Head over to filter, apply this blur called I think it was this blur strength called this. So I can just basically increase the blur strength and you see how this appears on this. Okay, so if this is okay, we click on OK and we are good to go. So I can choose to hold Alt on my keyboard, holding Alt on my keyboard, move my mouse pointer to where I have this effect icon, left click and drag this over to where I have this other one over here. Okay, you can see that they both have the same icons on them respectively. So I'm trying to duplicate the effect on this and applying it on this. So moving on as well, on a final note, I can choose to create a layer here. Okay, pick my brush tool. The keyboard shortcut to picking your brush is B. So I can choose to scale down the size of my brush using the square bracket key beside the P button on the keyboard, and do what else? I can come here, sample this. Okay, brush here once, brush here again. Okay, so I can come here and reduce the intensity of the light. Okay, So that is in terms of that. So this is like the original look of the design, and this is what we have created. So ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this. If you do find this helpful, do well to smash a like button, do well to support me by hitting the like button if you found this educative, so that the YouTube algorithm can know that value was given out on this video. Okay, if you have any questions, any thoughts, leave them in the comment section. If you are new to the channel and you are yet to subscribe, do well to hit the subscribe button and turn on the post notification to get post notification whenever I upload new content. And to our returning subscribers, thank you guys for always watching. As usual, I'll see you in the next.